Hey everyone, welcome back to our weekly real estate podcast. We're coming back in with a special guest today. He's been on the show before. His name's Kevin Bertonneau. How you doing, Kevin?
Good. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you. So I'm in here updating our trust, our family trust. Kevin helps us out with that. Made some changes just because our kids are getting a little older and things have happened in life. So what we're going to do today is, if you're one of my customers, you know I'm always talking about asset protection. Particularly with all the stuff that's going on with COVID. It's a great time to learn about trusts, hopefully educate, and then call Kevin. So Kevin, give me your contact information. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
My office is at 707 Mount Rose Street. My phone number is 775-737-9123, and I'm also online, or I'm pretty easy to find, so that's the best way.
So we'll link you below and put your information in and tag you in the video. So let's get started. We don't have a lot of time to burn. Kevin's a busy guy. So first thing we're going to talk about, reiterate, what is a trust?
Okay, a trust is it's a document that sets out what would happen if you became incapacitated or then when you pass away. And both are really important time frames. When you pass away, of course, it says who gets what and also how they get it, whether the distributions are spread over time or ages or with certain restrictions. So you create this trust, this document, which is like a bucket, but then you have to add assets into your bucket to make it fully effective.
So you have to fund it.
Yes.
Because a lot of people I know fund, and they actually create trust, but then don't fund it, which probably creates a bigger mess.
Yeah, the same type of mess. There's people that have come into me after the fact where they have a trust, but they never had their real estate transferred into it, and then they pass away. So we have to go through probate just to get their assets into the trust and then distribute it how the trust says.
All right, so what happens, first of all, let's get out of the way, cost. What approximately cost? I mean, everyone has a different one, but approximately, if you're an average person, family of four, approximately, what are we talking about?
Generally, starts at about $2,500, and that's for the trust. There's also a will, there's power of attorney documents, healthcare documents, that's for all the documents. Again, it starts about $2,500. Most common is right around there, up to $2,000. If you get into more complicated tax planning and other issues or special needs and things like that, it gets higher. But bank on, say, around $3,000, I would say.
So not a big cost compared to, what is probate cost? First of all, what is probate and what does that cost looking?
Okay, well, probate, that's what happens if you don't have a trust, basically, or if it's not funded. It's the court process where you have to file the initial petition, you get appointed as the executor, but then there's all these other hoops you have to jump through to be able for the court to finally say, okay, now you can distribute what they had to who's supposed to get it. The cost is, it can be either a percentage of the value of the estate, or it can be hourly for lawyers. Just to give an example, I had one case where, two cases, identical size estate. I did a trust for this woman. When she passed away, it was only about $1,000 in legal fees to wrap up everything. I had this literally almost same exact value of estate, and because there were siblings and stepmom, etc., and fighting and nothing was written down, it was $26,000 in legal fees.
So 1/10 the cost,
right,
up front, and then save your family headache, right?
Yeah,
you identify who gets what, and then there's no questions.
Right, huge headache. Plus, you don't have to go through court and all the built-in delays.
So remind everyone, when you go through court, it's open to the public, correct? All your assets and everything, sometimes, or when?
Actually, most of the time, because you file these documents, they list who your heirs are, what all the assets are, even what they're worth, and then in the final document, the final petition, you even list who gets what. And so those documents are public. I could go on the court website right now and look up any probate case, get the names of all the heirs and even exactly what they're getting. So we see times where there's different scams, clients are getting called, but it's all completely public. Nothing's private.
So that's just another good reason to get in to see Kevin and get it set up while you're still in good health. Biggest question I get, I don't need a trust. When does someone need a trust? At what point in their life? Is it when they buy a house, or is there amount of money? When is that?
There's no set dollar figure. Definitely, though, with real estate. There really is no other good way to transfer real estate, say, to your child or children outside of a trust. There's some people put their kids jointly on title to their house. You don't want to do that. That creates tax problems and also liability exposure problems. There's a deed upon death, which they have, but that creates restrictions on the sale of a property for 18 months after the person dies. So you don't want to do that. So definitely with real estate. And then if, let's say you have grandchildren where you'd want them to receive the assets if something happened to one of your children, in that situation also. So there's no set dollar figure, but again, it's a combination of what you want and what you have.
So what are the pros and cons of the trust?
Really, the only con I can think of is the initial cost, which
Okay.
I don't really think is all that prohibitive, but that's really it. It's if you have a good lawyer you go to, it's really kind of a painless process, and they walk you through it and draft the documents.
How long does it
and
take from start to finish?
Generally, well, it depends. I've had some clients where they were
took forever on our.
they were going out of town and traveling for months and needed it done right away. So that actually it was less than a week to get everything from meeting to signing. Normally it's about a 3 to 4 week process
30 days.
between meeting and fine tuning and then drafting and signing the document.
So 30 days, $3,000. It's a good investment. The biggest thing I hear out there all the time is I got a will online. I'm fine. I don't need a trust. Why do people say that?
Because I don't think they really understand the difference. A will gives away your stuff, just like a trust does. The will, though, does not help at all if you were still with us but incapacitated. And then also, it almost guarantees going through probate. Because the will says you get it, but to be able to transfer title, there has to be a legal mechanism to do that.
Yep. So if you have a will, you're pretty much going to go to probate.
Correct. Right.
At least it tells you who's going to get the stuff, but the documents, particularly in real estate, title company's not going to exchange title if you don't have that in place.
Right.
So we talked about all the different things that are in a trust. What are the top 5 things in a trust? Like healthcare, there's a will, there's a pour over will. What are the top 5 things that are actually inside?
Okay, well, there's the trust itself, which that will have the provisions that would govern if you became incapacitated or then pass away, and then it gives away your stuff to who you want and to how you want them to receive it. That's the trust part. But then to complete everything, you want to have a power of attorney that would also kick in if you became incapacitated. And then there's a few different healthcare documents, so you would want that covered as well. When you have all of that, and let's say you do become incapacitated, nobody has to go to court to get appointed to act on your behalf. It's already set up, everything's already there. And that's a whole other big expense. And then, of course, if you pass away and don't have it, you get it that way too.
So I just closed on a trust deal. I was helping out the beneficiaries of the trust. It was in place. It's simply handing over the trust document to the title company, and it's pretty much a regular sale at that point once they have everything. And you have to get a death certificate, but other than that, so it makes it really easy to switch property or exchange property or sell it. So